Welcome to Legacy Coins, USA. The 1860 Indian head penny stands as a monumental pillar of American history, a copper-nickel titan born on the very brink of the Civil War. While many look at this coin and see a simple piece of centennial currency, seasoned collectors and visionary investors see a golden ticket to absolute wealth. This specific year marked a radical transition in the U.S. Mint's design, shifting from the laurel wreath of 1859 to the oak wreath and shield that would define the era. If you are holding an 1860 penny, you aren't just holding a cent. You are gripping a piece of a lost world that could be worth more than a luxury estate in today's hyper-aggressive auction markets. The real secret to the astronomical value of the 1860 Indian head penny lies in the pointed bust variety, a rare and elusive strike that has the numismatic world in a state of constant frenzy. During the initial production run of 1860, the die featured a sharp, pointed tip at the base of Liberty's neck, a detail so minute that the untrained eye would miss it entirely. Because the Mint quickly switched to a rounded bust design mid-year, the number of surviving pointed bust specimens is terrifyingly low. Finding one of these in pristine, uncirculated condition is like discovering a diamond in a coal mine, with high-grade examples commanding premiums that leave standard coins in the dust. Condition is the ultimate king when it comes to these 19th-century relics, and for the 1860 penny, the difference between good and mint state is the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing fortune. Coins that have managed to retain their original red or red-brown luster, the fiery copper glow they had the day they were struck, are the holy grails of the series. Most 1860 pennies are found in a dull, chocolate-brown state due to over a century of handling, but a red specimen in a high MS-66 or MS-67 grade can skyrocket into the tens of thousands of dollars, acting as a magnet for the world's wealthiest elite. But the story of unimaginable wealth doesn't stop with the 1860 penny. It extends into the modern era with the legendary 1776-1976 bicentennial coins that have set the internet ablaze. While billions of these coins were minted to celebrate America's 200th anniversary, a handful of secret errors and rare metal compositions have turned them into artifacts worth millions. The most famous of these is the bicentennial quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet by mistake, or those featuring dramatic doubling errors that make the date and lettering appear to dance across the metal surface. These are the coins that people spend their entire lives searching for in the hope of striking it rich overnight. Imagine reaching into a jar of old change and pulling out a coin that is not made of standard copper-nickel, but a heavy, gleaming silver that was never meant for general circulation. This is the reality for the lucky few who have discovered silver bicentennial quarters that slipped through the cracks of the San Francisco Mint. These coins are not just currency, they are wrong planchet errors, a category of rarity so extreme that they have been known to fetch prices reaching into the hundreds of thousands or even millions at high-stakes auctions. The mere presence of an S mint mark on a quarter found in your pocket could be the first sign that you are standing on a gold mine. The bicentennial dollar and half dollar also harbor secrets that can turn a regular citizen into a billionaire in the blink of an eye. Collectors are obsessed with proof versions of these coins that were accidentally released into the wild, featuring deep, mirror-like backgrounds and frosted portraits of Eisenhower or Kennedy. If you find a bicentennial coin that looks unnaturally shiny or has a heavy, weighted feel compared to others, you must guard it with your life. The market for these deep cameo specimens is exploding, as billionaires look to park their wealth in tangible, historical assets that only grow in value as time marches on. Double die varieties are the lottery tickets of the bicentennial series, where a mechanical glitch during the minting process creates a ghost-like secondary image on the coin. On a bicentennial coin, this doubling can occur on the iconic 1776-1976 date or the words United States of America, creating a visual masterpiece that is worth a king's ransom. These errors are so rare and so highly sought after that specialized grading services often value them in the stratosphere of the pricing guides. A single mistake made by a tired mint worker 2 centuries ago or 50 years ago, is now the engine driving a multi-million-dollar industry. The psychology of rare coin collecting is fueled by the thrill of the hunt, the idea that any one of us could be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. The 1860 Indian head penny and the bicentennial coins represent 2 different eras of American pride, but they share the same potential for creating instant millionaires. When you look at an 1860 cent, you are seeing the blood and sweat of a nation on the verge of war. When you look at a bicentennial coin, you are seeing the celebration of a superpower. Both are vehicles for wealth that defy traditional logic, where a small disc of metal can be worth more than a skyscraper. We live in a world where digital currency is king, yet the most reliable and explosive growth is still found in these physical relics of the past. The scarcity of the 1860 pointed bust penny is a mathematical certainty that ensures its value will never drop, only rise as more collectors enter the market. Similarly, as bicentennial coins are lost to time or damaged in circulation, the remaining high-grade and error versions become even more precious. This is a game of supply and demand played at the highest level, where the prize is a level of wealth that most people can only dream of in their wildest fantasies. If you ever find yourself in possession of an old coin collection, do not make the mistake of taking it to a standard bank or spending it at a grocery store. The 1860 penny you think is worth 1 cent could be the very one that funds your retirement, your children's education, and a life of luxury. You must look for the oak wreath on the reverse and the pointed bust on the obverse. These are the markers of destiny. A professional appraisal is the only way to unlock the true potential of your find, as a single grade point increase from an expert can add $10,000 to the coin's value instantly. The phenomenon of the $1,000,000 penny is not a myth, it is a documented reality of the numismatic world. While the 1943 copper penny usually steals the headlines, the 1860 Indian head penny is the quiet giant that sits in the portfolios of the world's most elite investors. It is a coin that represents stability, history, and a level of rarity that is almost impossible to replicate. Every time one of these coins goes under the hammer, the eyes of the world are watching, waiting to see if a new record will be set and a new billionaire will be made. The bicentennial quarter is often dismissed by the public because it is so common, but that is exactly why the rare versions are so valuable. They are hiding in plain sight. Millions of people handle these coins every day, completely unaware that the drummer boy on the back could be part of a silver-clad era worth a fortune. This is the ultimate, hidden in plain sight treasure hunt. If you have a jar of quarters, take the time to weigh them. A silver bicentennial quarter will weigh 5.75 grams, while a standard one weighs 5.67 grams. That tiny difference in weight is the difference between 25 cents and $25,000. In the high-stakes world of coin auctions, the provenance of a coin can also add a massive multiplier to its worth. An 1860 penny that was part of a famous collection or has been sitting in a bank vault since the late 1800s will always command a higher price than one found in the dirt. This historical connection creates an emotional value that transcends the metal itself. Billionaires don't just buy the coin, they buy the story, the era, and the prestige of owning a piece of the American soul that survived the darkest chapters of our history. The unimaginable worth of standard circulation coins mentioned in the legends is rooted in the fact that the U.S. Mint is a human institution prone to errors. From off-center strikes to broad strikes and clips, any bicentennial or 1860 coin that looks weird or wrong is a potential jackpot. Never clean these coins, as the natural patina and original surfaces are what the experts look for. A cleaned coin loses 90% of its value instantly, turning a $1 million treasure into a piece of scrap metal. To be rich, you must preserve the history as it was found. The surge in rare coin values is also driven by the limited supply of high-grade survivors. For a coin like the 1860 cent, which was struck in an era of primitive technology, finding one that is perfectly centered with no visible marks is a miracle of physics. These gem quality coins are the ones that ignite bidding wars between the world's most powerful collectors. They are seen as hard assets, a hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty that has proven to be more resilient than the stock market over the long term. When we talk about turning into a billionaire overnight, we are talking about the super rarities, coins that are the only known examples of their kind. If an 1860 penny were discovered with a unique minting error or as a transitional pattern coin that was never supposed to exist, its value would be literally immeasurable. These are the items that museums and billionaires fight over in private showrooms, away from the eyes of the public. Your attic or your grandfather's old chest could be the final resting place of such a legend, just waiting for you to turn the key. The bicentennial coins serve as a bridge between the old world of the 1860s and the modern era, showing that rarity can be found in any decade. The bicentennial tag itself is a magnet for collectors, as it represents a unique moment in the global consciousness of the 1970s. Whether it is the dollar, the half dollar, or the quarter, the 1776-1976 date is a signal to pay attention. Every time you see that date, you should be checking for the S, mint mark, or any sign of doubling, because the opportunity to change your life is literally passing through your hands. The most valuable rare coins are those that tell a story of a mistake made by a giant. When the US government makes a mistake on a coin, they usually try to destroy it, which is why the survivors are so incredibly valuable. An 1860 penny with a repunched date or a bicentennial coin with a filled S mint mark is a testament to a moment where the system failed, creating a rare glitch in the matrix of currency. These glitches are what we hunt for, the tiny imperfections that prove that even the most powerful institutions are fallible. As you embark on your journey into the world of numismatics, remember that knowledge is the most powerful tool you possess. Understanding the nuances of the 1860 pointed bust or the silver bicentennial planchet is what separates the average person from the billionaire collector. Do not listen to the skeptics who say these coins are just change. Listen to the auction results that prove otherwise. There are fortunes being made every day by people who simply looked closer at the coins they were holding. The final word on these rare treasures is simple. Do not spend them, do not clean them, and do not ignore them. The 1860 Indian head penny and the bicentennial masterpieces are more than just money. They are the keys to a kingdom of wealth that is accessible to anyone with the eyes to see it. Your fortune is not waiting for you in the future. It is likely already in your possession, hidden in the shadows of an old coin jar or the lining of an old coat. Take the 10 minutes to look, and you might just find that you are already a billionaire in waiting. Stay tuned for next coin, don't skip the video, and please subscribe my channel. Coin number 2. The 1861 United States 1-cent coin stands as a monumental pillar in the world of numismatics, representing a period of unprecedented turmoil and transition in American history. As the nation stood on the precipice of the Civil War, the Philadelphia Mint produced these pennies with a sense of urgency that is physically palpable in the surviving specimens today. Unlike the modern copper-plated zinc cents we handle daily, the 1861 issue was struck in a robust copper-nickel alloy, often referred to by collectors as white cents, because of their distinctively pale and lustrous appearance. This specific year holds a legendary status because it captures the exact moment the American economy shifted from peacetime stability to the desperate hoarding of metal that defined the war years, making high-grade survivors almost mythological in their rarity. When we speak of bicentennial value in the context of these ancient treasures, we are often looking at a collision of two worlds, the 1861 Civil War era and the 1976 commemorative era. While the 1861 penny itself is not a bicentennial coin by definition, its value often superimposes over modern rarities in high-stakes auctions where the 200th anniversary of the nation sparked a massive resurgence in coin collecting. The most valuable 1861 pennies are those that have escaped the ravages of time with gem status, specifically those graded at MS67 or higher. These coins do not just represent a cent, they represent a pristine window into the year Abraham Lincoln took office, and in the right auction environment, their price tags can soar into the hundreds of thousands, rivaling the most expensive modern-era coins ever discovered. The structural integrity of the 1861 Indian head cent is a marvel of 19th-century engineering, designed by the legendary James B. Longaker. The obverse features Liberty wearing a Native American headdress, a design choice that was controversial yet iconic, meant to symbolize an authentically American spirit of freedom. In today's elite market, a superimposed value refers to those rare instances where the strike is so deep and the preservation so perfect that the coin looks as though it was minted yesterday. These condition rarities are the primary targets for billionaire investors who view coins not as currency, but as tangible assets that outperform traditional stocks and bonds, especially when the historical provenance involves famous hoards or presidential collections. One of the most attention-grabbing aspects of the 1861 series is the presence of die varieties and repunch dates that can turn a standard-looking coin into a life-changing windfall. If you look closely at the 1 in the date of an 1861 penny, you might find a secondary, ghost-like digit beneath the primary strike. This mechanical error occurred during the frantic production cycles at the start of the Civil War. Such an error, when combined with a high mint state grade, creates a unicorn of the coin world. These are the pieces that disappear into private vaults for decades, only to re-emerge at prestigious auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, where they command billionaire-tier attention from the world's most elite collectors. The concept of a bicentennial coin making someone rich overnight is a reality often tied to the 1976 Washington quarters and Eisenhower dollars, but the 1861 penny is the true old money equivalent. While millions of 1861 cents were minted, the vast majority were worn down to smooth discs or melted for their nickel content during the war's metal shortages. This mass destruction created a massive vacuum in the supply of high-quality coins. Consequently, if a family discovers an 1861 cent in a long-forgotten trunk that still retains its original red-orange luster and sharp diamonds on Liberty's ribbon, they aren't just holding a penny, they are holding a historical artifact whose value is anchored in the very DNA of American survival. Professional numismatists categorize the 1861 penny as a key date within the Copper-Nickel series, but its financial potential extends far beyond standard grading charts. In the past, these coins were seen as common relics of the war, often traded for mere dollars among school-aged collectors. However, the modern era has seen a radical shift in valuation. The introduction of third-party grading by PCGS and NGC changed the game, turning very nice coins into investment-grade assets. A single point difference on the 70-point grading scale can mean a difference of $50,000, creating a high-stakes environment where every tiny scratch or bag mark is scrutinized under high-powered microscopes. To understand the billionaire potential mentioned in the script of coin law, one must look at the rarest of the rare, the proof strikes. In 1861, only about 1,000 proof coins were minted for collectors of that era. These were the Rolls-Royces of pennies, struck multiple times with polished dies to create a mirror-like finish. Today, a proof 1861 Indian head sent with cameo or deep cameo contrast is a crown jewel. These coins possess a visual depth that seems to glow from within, and they are so sought after that they rarely hit the public market, often being traded in private, black book deals between the world's most powerful numismatic dynasties. The sheer excitement surrounding these coins is not hyperbole. It is based on the reality of the wealth gap in coin collecting. While a heavily circulated 1861 penny might be worth a few dozen dollars, enough for a nice dinner, a specimen that has been hermetically sealed or perfectly preserved can fund a retirement. This is why the advice, don't spend them, is so critical. To an untrained eye, a $1 million 1861 cent looks very similar to a $50 one. The value is superimposed in the microscopic details. The sharpness of the oak leaves on the reverse, the lack of hairline scratches, and the original planchet quality that only a professional can truly verify. Historical context provides the ultimate weight to the 1861 cents price. This was the year the Union Shield was added to the top of the wreath on the reverse, a symbolic gesture of the North's commitment to holding the country together. This shield variety is a patriotic emblem that resonates with collectors of Americana. When a coin carries this much symbolic weight, its price is no longer tied to its metal content. It is tied to its soul. Wealthy collectors are willing to pay millions for the finest known example because it allows them to own the highest quality piece of the very year the United States fought for its existence. The bicentennial connection often surfaces when talking about the 1776-1976 Eisenhower dollars, which sometimes feature superimposed errors like double strikes or missing clad layers. However, the 1861 cent is the ancestor that paved the way for this commemorative fever. Many of the most valuable collections sold during the 1976 bicentennial celebrations featured 1861 cents as their centerpiece. This historical synergy means that the 1861 cent is forever linked to the bicentennial boom, a time when coin values exploded and the hobby transitioned from a quiet pastime into a multi-billion-dollar global industry. For those looking to change their fortune, the search for the 1861 super cent requires patience and a predatory eye for quality. You aren't looking for a coin that is simply old, you are looking for a coin that is perfect. In the professional world, this is known as eye appeal. A coin can have a high technical grade, but poor eye appeal due to spotting or dullness. The coins that make people billionaires are those with iridescent. The copper nickel has oxidized over 160 years into a rainbow of blues, purples, and golds. These monster-toned 1861 cents are the ultimate prizes, often selling for 10 times their book value because their beauty is unique and unrepeatable. The narrative that these coins can make you rich overnight is rooted in the discovery stories that haunt coin shows. There are documented cases of people finding key-date Indian head pennies in jars of wheat cents purchased at estate sales for a pittance. Because the 1861 cent is a thick penny compared to the post-1864 bronze versions, it often gets overlooked or misidentified by amateur sellers. This creates a gold mine for the educated hunter. Finding an 1861 cent in a junk bin that turns out to be a high-grade MS-65 specimen is the numismatic equivalent of winning the lottery without ever buying a ticket. When analyzing the past, we see that the 1861 cent has consistently outperformed almost every other asset class over a 50-year horizon. While gold and silver fluctuate with the market, rarity is a fixed commodity. There will never be more 1861 pennies minted. As the number of wealthy collectors in emerging markets like China and India grows, the demand for iconic American rarities, like the 1861 cent, continues to skyrocket. This global demand is what drives the unimaginable worth mentioned by insiders. When two billionaires want the same finest-known coin, the price has no ceiling. The bicentennial rare USA terminology also touches upon the 1976 no-S-proof Eisenhower dollar, another coin worth a fortune, but the 1861 Indian head remains the sovereign of the penny world. To hold one is to hold a piece of the metal that funded the Union Army, paid the salaries of soldiers at Bull Run, and circulated through the hands of a generation that redefined America. This emotional and historical superimposition is what makes the 1861 cent a blue-chip investment. It is not just currency, it is a survivor of the most violent chapter in American history, and its scars, or lack thereof, determine its millions of dollars destiny. To be a professional in this field means moving beyond the red book values and into the world of auction records. The most valuable 1861 coins are often sold in specialized sales where provenance is king. If a coin can be traced back to a 19th century collection or a famous numismatist like Eliasberg, its value multiplies instantly. This pedigree acts as a guarantee of quality and history, ensuring that the billionaire buyer is not just getting a coin, but a legacy. For the average person, checking the attic or a grandparent's old cigar box for an 1861 white cent is the first step toward a potential financial transformation that defies logic. The superimposed value also refers to the psychological value placed on these coins by the American public. During the 1976 bicentennial, The nation was obsessed with its roots, and coins like the 1861 cent became symbols of that endurance. This bicentennial fever created a permanent floor for the value of rare U.S. coins. Even in economic downturns, the 1861 Indian head cent remains a safe haven asset. It is a physical, indestructible piece of the American story that cannot be deleted by a computer crash or devalued by inflation, making it the ultimate tool for generational wealth. In the past, the 1861 cent was simply the new penny that replaced the large, bulky large cents of the early 1800s. People at the time didn't realize they were handling future millions. They spent them on bread, newspapers, and postage stamps. This casual use is exactly what makes the rare, uncirculated survivors so valuable today. Each scratch on a common 1861 penny tells a story of a transaction, but the absence of scratches on a gem coin tells the story of a miracle. This is the miracle of preservation that collectors are willing to pay any price to own. The warning "don't spend them" is especially relevant because of the copper-nickel composition. These coins are heavier and thicker than modern pennies. If you drop one, it has a distinct ring that sounds like a bell, unlike the thud of a modern zinc cent. This acoustic difference is often the first clue that you have found something extraordinary. If you find a coin that feels wrong in your pocket change, heavier, thicker, and strangely pale, stop immediately. You may be holding a Civil War cent that has been circulating undetected for 160 years, waiting for someone to recognize its true billion-dollar potential. The ultimate takeaway for any aspiring collector or lucky finder is that the 1861 United States 1 cent is a masterpiece of American art and history. Whether it is the standard circulation coin that has been polished by time or the rare bicentennial-era discovery that has been hidden for decades, these coins are the keys to a hidden kingdom of wealth. The market for these rarities is more aggressive than ever, with superimposed values reaching heights that would have seemed impossible just a generation ago. In the world of high-end numismatics, the 1861 cent is not just a coin, it is a life-changing event. Finally, remember that the most valuable coins are those with a story. Whether it is a coin that survived the Battle of Gettysburg in a soldier's pocket or a proof specimen that sat in a museum for a century, the story is what breathes life into the cold metal. As you search for these treasures, look for the Indian head with the 1861 date and the Union shield on the reverse. If the details are sharp and the color is right, you aren't just looking at a penny, you are looking at your future, a fortune superimposed on a tiny disc of copper and nickel that could turn you into the next billionaire of the coin world. Thanks for watching, and get ready to new video on next day on Legacy Coins USA.